The Tom Kelly Show is a show about life's difficulties and how me, comedian Tom Kelly, overcomes them. I'm a New York-based stand-up comedian who you've seen on Good Morning America, The View, and a million other shows. I have felt that this period of our lives, the pandemic and whatever you want to call it, has been a period for personal growth. Listen to The Tom Kelly Show as me and a cast of friends, experts, celebrities, and fellow comedians traverse life's butt-kicking challenges and come away wiser and laughing most of the way. You're listening to
The Tom Kelly Show. Everybody, I want you to go to the Tom Kelly Show. I want you all to know about the Tom Kelly Show.
Trigger warning, spoiler alert, someone break out the lobster rolls. You are experiencing a Maine edition of the Tom Kelly Show. And when I say Maine edition, I mean Maine with an E at the end. M-A-I-N-E, ladies and gentlemen. And yes, I really am eating a lobster roll right in front of you. How bougie is that? I think the word is bougie, right? Yeah, bougie is what fancy people do. Yeah, and that's a hell of a lobster roll from a Higgins Beach market. We'll talk about that in a minute. I'm in a mood. Aren't we always when we do this, people? For those of you experiencing the YouTube edition of the show, I hope you are enjoying the nice background. It's my last day, not in Maine, but it's my last day in the beach house. So I have spent a lot of time getting the background right. I have been working in the front porchy area of the cottage. I fixed the windows a bit so that way you can see the nice view. You can see the little Christmas tree that the landlady's grandma planted, and then that one of the neighbors butchered because it was interfering with their view. Anybody have something like that? There's actually a little plot line like this going on the TV show Hacks on HBO Max. But the family that owns this house, they really own this house, the house I'm in, and a chunk of land across the street. It's inherited wealth that's been in the family for 4 generations. In fact, I'm pretty sure the landlady's grandpa built this house for one of her great aunts or something like that. Anyway, the land across the street, the landlady's grandma used to run a parking lot out of, and they used to charge a good chunk of money for people to park at the beach. And then one day the land study came in and the people said, hey, if you plant some stuff there, the erosion won't come and wash your house away one day. So they planted this cute little pine tree. And the problem is the cute little pine tree might have been screwing up one of the neighbors' views. Now, we don't know this for sure. Not to do the old Star Jones joke of allegedly. Add the word allegedly to everything. That's Tracy Morgan. That's me doing a bad job impersonating Tracy Morgan, impersonating Star Jones, who is impersonating the landlady. Okay, you get where I'm going. Anyway, all we know for sure is one winter, the tree behind me was a full Christmas tree, and then somehow all the branches in the middle disappeared, but the tree is still alive. So yeah, who knows, but I kind of like the little Charlie Brown style of it. The weather has just been frustrating, and I guess that sort of sums up my day. Everything's great, but everything's just been a little frustrating. I've spent more time getting this shot done for YouTube than trying to get the audio right for the podcast. By the way, special thanks to Carrie and Steve and Jack Bird and Jack Bird and Lindsay for all writing direct messages about yesterday's episode, the last episode coming out of one ear. I apologize. I'm going to listen to the final edit of the show with earphones on. That had to be my mistake. I hope I look good, people, because I bought a new iPhone. Yeah, and I think the last episode, if you believe in manifesting, or if you believe in creating your futures, I created a accident that destroyed my iPhone 11. I was whining about this on the show, but the new iPhones, they have lightning cables. Unfortunately, everything plugs into USB cables. I happen to have a plug that worked with this laptop for my old phone. Without getting too into it, to fight my sleep apnea, I decided to take the laptop and go to bed. And I put the laptop and the phone on the dresser so I could watch TV. I don't know what happened, but in the middle of the night, the laptop and the iPhone went over. And I know it had to be a pretty good hit because the phone looked like someone shot a bullet through it. And it looks like there's a pretty good fresh scratch on the floor. It had to be from that. I had a great attitude about it. The laptop was still working. I could live my life. I drove on a slightly nicer weather day to the Apple Store of South Portland, Maine, at the South Portland, Maine Mall. And God bless, after an hour of negotiating with the retail execs, they said, hey, Tom, guess what? Your insurance expired 6 months ago. So I bought my iPhone. And you know me as a tech nerd. My friend Dan Stanton said the same thing. Tom, you're a tech nerd. You can't buy a phone now. It's June 3rd. And I'm like, you're right, man. You're right. However, I can't wait until October 3rd for a phone. So I paid the most money possible for the phone that's about to go out of date. And folks, that for a nerd, it's the most frustrating thing. And one of the techs at the place, they said it as a joke, but I couldn't tell if they said it as a joke. They said, well, if you don't want to pay for it, if you don't want to pay all this money, well, the phone's right there. You could grab it from my hands and walk out. I'm not going to stop you. I'm just going to call the police and just file a police report. And I think she was kidding, but that sure sort of made me, I think she was kidding in such a dark way that I stopped whining about how much the phone cost. So you win, Apple Tech. You win. Yeah, I genuinely couldn't tell if she was encouraging me to shoplift or not. And I'm like, are you? This is a trap. This is a trap. But there was a bonus for the podcast. This is going to sound so needy and awkward, but people, if you love me, the next time you are in the Apple Store, the physical Apple Store, okay? And and by the way, my friend Brian and one other person wrote me a note playing on the Apple Store app for an hour. No, if you're in the physical old-fashioned Apple Store, and you see those phones, I should have taken a picture, but those phones that are on display. Each one of them is a working phone with a working Apple podcast account. Here's what I'm asking you guys. I'm asking. If you're ever in the Apple Store, go into the Apple Store, look for the Tom Kelly Show. And do this on your personal phones too. But if you do it in the Apple Store, I get 5 stars and it counts. So then go to multiple phones, multiple physical phones, give me 5 stars, and that does give me a boost up, okay? And I gave myself, while waiting around for all these nice people, I mean, the money's not going in their pockets. They're making minimum wage, so I shouldn't get all mad. But all those kids at the Apple Store, while I was waiting for them to go back, find my phone, find this, find that, check the insurance, check whatever, while I'm on vacation. Anyway, I gave myself at least 25-star ratings. So hopefully that gives me a boost up in the audio version of the podcast. And I've been neglecting the audio version. Make sure if you can't figure out all these apps, TomKellyShow.com is the gateway to all things Tom Kelly. And, if you can, show love where love can be shown. Show love as much as love can be shown. So far, I've posted this request in the secret Tom Kelly Show Facebook group, which you can join just by asking. And my 2 responses were from Brian Kist, who thought I was talking about the App Store on his phone, and from Jacob Lee Downey, for whom the nearest Apple Store is 270 miles away. Glad I'm doing well with the rural audience, ladies and gentlemen. Thank God for rural Illinois. But yeah, the process is tedious. It's kind of soul-sucking. And listen, even me, I'm the one benefiting from this. After 20 and there was still like another 50 phones in the store, I felt kind of sad. But that's how you can boost me up. You're always asking for ways to boost me up. What are you going to do? I'm going to focus on the negative parts of the day first because I wanted to have why not? I'm going to whine, okay? It's gray. I've had writer's block all day. I spent a good chunk of the day watching All About Joe on YouTube. It's a web TV show starring Joe Fernandes, who is a comedian I know because of Marianne Stelmagic, and I met him at Uncle Vinny's, I guess 2 months ago. It's we'll look up the show later, but I pretty much almost got into a bar fight with the guy because we refused to say Joe Biden was an a-hole, but we also didn't say DT was an a-hole either. But anyway, Joe Fernandes has this pretty good. Actually, it's a great web TV show. Everybody should watch the first episode. I don't want to talk too much about it now because I'm hoping to have him on as a guest. In fact, this is the part that annoyed the living hell out of me. He wrote me a note after kind of blowing me off. Yeah, blowing me off or forgetting about me. And I said, hey, man, give me a note after Cinco de Mayo and I'll have you on the podcast. He wrote me back after I scaled back from 3 days a week down to 2, blah, blah, blah. But I needed a guest for today. I felt like I was bored. I had writer's block. I needed something to talk about. I'm like, all right, Joe, give me the link to your web shows. You know, he's like, he was asking to be on the show. And I thought he meant he was around today. And he said nothing that should make me think that, but it's just me not thinking enough. And I'm going to have 2 beats on that in a minute. And anyway, Joe's show is great. It's about fixing up your life. It's about the midlife crisis. It's about guys my age. And it's very much a short film. But I was pissed that I watched an hour worth of his shows here on the beach. You know, I could be watching something else. I should have been working on something else, and he wasn't around for the show. So, but I'm going to have him on soon. But the first episode was amazing. And then there was another episode that was about him having like a whiny chat with a friend, kind of like I do with you guys every day on this podcast. And he's like, yeah, well, I need to start dieting and getting into shape. And then he orders a burrito. And actually, I think it's with my friend Mike Gaffney. My friend, comedian Mike Gaffney is with him and says, dude, get the friggin' avocado. What the hell are you doing? You just talked about how you're fat, and then you go right into ordering the bacon. And I just thought, how true is that for so much of us, people? I have a diary, a journal. I've been keeping it since the 4th grade. But the last 3 years of it, I have been writing. In fact, stay there, people. I'm going to get the damn diary. Stay there. In January of 2019, actually the day of the Women's March in New York City. But anyway, 2019... I started it. Oh, geez, that's funny. I did it as a bang book at one point, or my last one I did as a bang book, which was a list of all the women I thought I had dated. But hold on here. Pause in here for a minute. Focusing. But I go into certain points where I have all these resolutions. I keep putting my weight. June 4th, 2019, I was lighter than I am now. I eventually lose a lot of weight. I gain it all back, blah, blah, blah. But, I ate half a quart of ice cream last night. And I can't tell you how this book is full of, I need to give up cookies. I need to give up ice cream. I was supposed to bring the ice cream to my friend Chris's house last night. Sleeping alone in this cold house. I thought I had a fever last night. I kind of fell asleep at 9 p.m. and woke up at 6 a.m. So I guess I needed to rest. I needed something. But moral of the story is we whine about our problems. When do we take action to fix them? And that's what I got out of All About Joe today. As I sit here eating a low-calorie lobster roll from the Higgins Beach market. Very important. I had this actually written down in my notes. Do me a favor, guys. That trick I gave you about podcast ratings, don't give it to other podcasters. I don't want Apple fixing this hack, and I don't want another, one of my competitors to go crazy and steal my idea there. So that's for just us, people. Circle of trust. Circle of trust for the Tom Kelly Show. I need to name the fans. We spend so much time looking for answers, we forget what the question was. That was my smart revelation from Joe Fernandez' show. What do you want out of life? I'm so busy worried about, I don't want to do this. Oh, this didn't work. That didn't work. Well, what did you actually, and you spend so much time worrying about the things that didn't work. You forget what you wanted to work in the first place. That's my big thing here is I came up here. I wanted good weather, but not so good that I wouldn't write and not so bad that I'd freeze my ass off. We've been leaning towards the so bad side, but that's me whining. All right, so I notice how I keep promoting the Higgins Beach Market. It's a food stand right down the block. By the way, is listening to me chew sexy? I went to another restaurant yesterday called Hank's. I loved them so much, I wrote a 5-star review about my breakfast with them. The perfect roadside restaurant near Higgins Beach. There really is a man named Hank. He's a young guy running a mom and pop restaurant / food stand. Just had a killer breakfast sandwich and a nice hot cup of coffee. Hank and staff are very friendly. Honestly, was just poking my head in, and the staff was so friendly I had to get something. 5-star review. Went there today at 11:07 a.m., and this was my updated review. Went back the next day at 11:07. Breakfast menus were still out. Was told I missed breakfast by 7 minutes. Everybody was pleasant, but the lunch and dinner options are just not as appealing as the breakfast offerings. I was also incredibly disappointed that I went in with a big smile, saying how much I loved the breakfast and I wanted another. I actually skipped breakfast elsewhere because I wanted to jam in one more breakfast at Hank's. I even mentioned my Yelp review. And as I left, the breakfast menus were still on the counter. I went down the block to the Higgins Beach Market where I was accommodated. That's an exaggeration. The grill was closed because I guess you can't make eggs after a certain hour or cook certain foods on the same things you make eggs on. There was nobody there, people. I just wanted a damn egg. But did I want the eggs so bad? Did I? I mean, I have a whole freezer of fresh, straight out of a chicken's ass eggs from my friend Chris. I didn't care enough to cook them up. I just wanted to sit there and write. Anyway, it's just a day where the little things are driving me crazy. And I'm not focusing on the one thing that went right. Yes, it was cold. It was a lot foggier than this morning. And I went across the beach and then up the Spurwink River. And there I was alone. There was one man fishing, got a quarter mile away. But it was just me and a bunch of birds. You know me, when I come up to Maine, I get obsessed with the piping plover. I've seen the piping plover. I've experienced the piping plover. This year, we are obsessed with the Lesser Tern. I have some video footage of them looking for food. None of it's great. I wanted to get a good TikTok or a Instagram story about it, but they basically fly and then they dive down, plop into the water, and they get their fish. Sometimes they miss, sometimes they don't. Anyway, it was just me and the Lesser Terns for a little while, and I don't know if I actually have a life lesson on today's show. One life lesson was the Lesser Terns, they eat their fish and then the big geese come and chase them away. That's not the lesson. But, there's no, anyway, I guess so here's the lesson, people. Focus on what's positive. You heard me write that mean and nice review. They both were one was posted for a day. I wound up deleting both of them. You know what? F it, people. You know what? Just don't go in there anymore. Or next time, fix what needs to be fixed. Just know that most breakfast restaurants, even McDonald's, doesn't offer breakfast after 11 a.m. Toughen up, people. Toughen up, Tom. Wake up a little earlier. Stop being so whiny. That's the damn lesson, people. Turn your leg. That was the joke about this podcast. Remember, God, when we started this in 2021, it was we're taking 2020 lemons and making 2021 lemonade. Well, it's 2022 and a half now. I'm really looking for an ending to the podcast. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to enjoy the lobster roll. Focus on the positive. I'm around friends, and I'm enjoying a damn adventure. Oh, special thank you. This is the positive thing. Even in the middle of me being antsy and whiny and things not working, I've been trying to rewrite the intro to the show. And we got, out of nowhere, professional publicist and writer Dan Freilich, a high school buddy of mine, rewrote what I've been trying to say for a while. And now I got to figure out how to put this into the second and first person. This is for the print version of the podcast, in the podcast descriptions. The Tom Kelly Show is about life's difficulties and how comedian Tom Kelly comically overcomes them. A New York-based stand-up, Tom Kelly has viewed this period of our lives as a time for personal growth. Listen as he and his cast of friends, experts, celebrities, and fellow comics traverse life's butt-kicking challenges and come away wiser and laughing most of the way. We'll work on that a little more tomorrow, people. Until next time, listen, write the mean review. Don't post it. Pause. Enjoy the lobster roll. And sometimes, man, how about this? Here's a life lesson. Don't be a lesser tern. You know what? I'm going to get the food out of my mouth. This is how good I feel about this. Here's the life lesson, people. Don't be a lesser tern. Go be a greater tern. All right? And that's Tern. Don't be a lesser tern, people. Delete that mean review. Stop whining about the bad weather. Get off your ass. Work on your good ideas. And if all else fails, just record a podcast. All right? Until, gosh, I don't know where I'm going to be next time. So, for right now, people, new shows guaranteed Mondays and Wednesdays. Lots of little content coming out on Instagram Reels and TikTok. I think some stuff you'll like. I have some funny stand-up clips that I was able to edit up here the last couple of days. And until I see you next time, guys, good night, Higgins Beach.